Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Carolyn. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on our listener experience zone, the Les. Things are happening.
Kind of. We have had a hell of a week.
Remember last week when I said that I didn't have any mental breakdowns over the basement?
Well, the time has come.
Multiple.
We're learning as we go. We're doing the best we can. Framing a basement might be the hardest thing I've ever done. And we were not ready to get to this stage. We were thrown into the framing because we didn't realize that in order for the plumber to do the work he had to do, part of the basement had to be framed. So whether we wanted to or not, we started to learn how to frame walls.
In 5 hours time with no tools and no experience. And it had to get done before the plumber came back the following day.
Well, we got the tools. It's just a matter of learning how to use certain tools and learning how to frame a wall. It's not for the weak.
Someone send help, because I'm looking at the camera. I cannot do this anymore.
Yes, you can. You have been doing it. We have been doing it.
I just feel like the amount of time that we spend trying to figure it out, like, to me, time is money. And we have spent so much time, and I'm like, a professional could literally do this in 2 days. And we have spent hours and hours just looking at each other like, I have no idea how to do this.
Builds character.
No. Again, I'm about to have a mental breakdown on this podcast. I mean, I'm that close.
No, don't do it. We've already had enough.
Both our nervous systems are just wrecked. I need so much slow yoga in order to just be somewhat okay.
Yeah, I have to say, Sunday I thought would be easier after we were forced to learn in the middle of the week last week. It was not easier, and it did take a long time for my nervous system to come down. Just the stress of trying to do it and feeling so stupid when trying to do these things. It's not a fun feeling.
And I've said this to you before. I think that's a huge trigger for me. Like, I hate feeling dumb, and I feel so dumb the entire time we're doing the basement, on top of just all of the physical labor. Like, the physical stuff I'm fine with, but the not knowing what I'm doing and it just not working. A hammer gun, is that what it's called?
A nail gun.
A nail gun just not working. Yeah, someone check to see if we're okay, because I'm not okay.
You were getting really annoyed with me because I couldn't get the nails to go in the wall with the nail gun.
I'm really gonna cry.
And then I was fed up with you talking about it. I was ready to move to the drill, but you wanted to see for yourself if the nail gun was working or if it was a user error. And Carolyn takes the nail gun, puts it up to the frame, and almost flew backwards off the steps.
I'm crying.
And you were like, whoa, that just recoiled. I didn't know it was going to do that. And I was like, Carolyn, I've been trying to use this thing for the last 3 hours. This is why I said I want to use the drill now, but I needed you to try for yourself.
Why won't the nail gun work? On every YouTube video, the guy's just standing there with the nail gun going around.
We've been renting a lot of tools, I have to say. I think that one's a little faulty, so we're going to try a new one. We'll have to report back next week if it truly was that nail gun or we are truly just not meant to use a nail gun.
And people have been liking that we're like putting some of our stuff on our personal Instagram so people can follow along, and like, we just can't put anything because we're just so frustrated the whole time. Nothing's getting done for hours, and then we finally are like, oh, this is maybe how you do it. Oh my gosh, it's just such a nightmare. Never do this. Yeah. Just pay someone. But I do have to give us some credit that we have reset a few times, me and you, when we've gotten frustrated with each other and really tried to make the problem and not each other the problem.
Yes.
And that is super helpful. So if this is doing anything, because I don't think we're going to be able to do this basement, if I'm being very honest, but it will make our relationship stronger.
That is for sure.
You
as strong as the framing in our basement.
Oh no, I don't want to do that. It's not that strong.
It is sturdy. And I have to say, being an athlete in our past and current, we still play sports. The resilience, it's going to keep us going.
No, this is why I'm not a pro athlete, because I don't have a lot of resilience. I get beaten down and I just want to stop.
Well, we must continue on.
Okay, let's get into something more fun. We also have to talk about Halloween.
Oh my gosh, how did I even forget? I think I have PTSD from the basement. I forgot the fun we had this weekend. It was Halloween weekend. We did dress up. We said we would share on this episode what we were. A lot of people were confused by your costume, Carolyn. What were you exactly?
I thought it was pretty clear. I was a salmon.
You were a salmon, but a lot of people thought you had udders, including myself. Some people thought you were udders
Just
to my bear. Or they thought I was a cow. I don't know.
You were a fat bear. Let's start there. You were a fat bear and I was a salmon, and it was a great idea, and it was my idea, and I'd like to take credit for it. I homemade my salmon outfit. And so I bought these little pieces of like
salmon fillet
that you can get off Amazon that people use to take photography pictures of food. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get these salmon fillets. I'm going to wear all salmon as a color, and I'm going to put these little fillets on my body.
And you put them on your body very uniform, and they truly looked like udders.
And so then I looked like salmon udders, and then people thought that maybe Danielle was a cow and that I was just her udders. I had a fish headband on. I thought it was clear.
People figured it out, but at first I think it was a little confusing.
Yeah, we still had fun, and I'm still very proud of it. I don't think I'll be keeping that t-shirt with my salmon udders on it.
No, that has got to go.
It does.
But regardless, it was a fun Halloween. I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I love just seeing everyone else dressed up. So even if people are confused by costumes, it is such a fun holiday. And at the bar, someone came up to me who was also dressed as a bear and was like, hey, where's your fish? And he had a like stuffed animal fish in his hand, and you just popped up out of nowhere and you're like, I'm here. So that was probably my favorite highlight from the costume.
Oh, it was a fun night. But yep, Halloween is over.
Lastly, what I have to celebrate this past weekend is Amanda running her second marathon. Amanda is my sister. Super excited for her, and shout out to all the New York City marathon runners this past weekend. She finished her second marathon. First one she did was a few years ago at Chicago, and then she completed New York City marathon over the weekend. She got a PR.
Shoey for Amanda.
And she did a shoey. The shoey legacy continues in New York.
New York is just, it's the only marathon I've done, and it'll probably be the only marathon I ever do. But I love seeing the videos because the crowd there is just so electric for everyone. The signs are amazing, and there's just so many people out. And because it always happens on daylight savings when we fall back, I feel like everyone in New York is just out and about, and it's just such a great day. And
yeah, I had major FOMO seeing all the videos and pictures. One, not being there to cheer on Amanda was hard, and two, I would have loved to run it again. I was so jealous that she had the opportunity to run this weekend, but I'm so happy for her and proud of her.
Yeah, my FOMO was I just wanted to be there and see Amanda. I didn't need to run it again, but I do like to be there on that day.
Yeah, so shout out to you, Amanda. Awesome job. Really excited for you, and we know how hard it is to get a PR, so congrats. Oof. Big time on that.
We have a very special episode this week, but before we get into it, let's do some updates from Women's Sports Weekly. Please rate and subscribe to our podcast. We love putting this podcast together. We produce, edit, record, co-host. We do everything for this podcast. And the best way for us to continue is for our podcast to keep growing and to find more people. So please share with your friends. Please rate and subscribe. Do all the little things. It goes a long, long way. And if you rate our podcast 5 stars and send us a screenshot, we will send you a Women's Sports Weekly sticker in the mail.
Also this week, this Thursday and every Thursday at 6 p.m., we have Run Club at the 99er Sports Bar here in Denver. Last Thursday was super fun. We had our Halloween costume run and everyone came out and dressed up. It is a really fun group. We hope to continue to grow it. So if you are in the Denver area, come out and run with us. We do run 3 miles. After the 3-mile run, we come back to the bar, enjoy some beers. And if you listen to our podcast and share the weekly secret word with the bartenders after the run, you get 50% off your first draft. This week's word is Jillian, and it is Jillian because we have a very special guest today for this episode.
We are joined by Jillian Carroll Letrinko. Jillian is an NWSL analyst and host for the Kansas City Current, the NWSL team, and you may recognize her name because we actually joined her on the Sports and SHEnanigans podcast, which she created and hosts. She is on today to give us a little NWSL playoff preview, and we are just so excited to have Jillian. We are so excited to be joined by Jillian Carroll Letrinko today on Women's Sports Weekly to talk NWSL playoffs. Jillian is an NWSL analyst and host for the KC Current. She also created and hosts the Sports and SHEnanigans podcast. We are so thrilled to have her expertise on the show today. Welcome, Jillian.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to see both of you, and I'm always up to talk NWSL. So happy to be here.
We are so happy to have you as well. So let's get right into it. The playoffs are set. The seeding is here. Can you just introduce, where are we? Who's in this? Who's playing? Where are they located?
It's interesting because this year, 2025, NWSL brought back what's called Decision Day, right? So it's that one day, which happened to be just Sunday, where all the teams play, and it truly is the deciding match to see who is going to make it above the playoff line and into the playoffs. In the past, they peppered the games across the weekend, so it really wasn't as an exciting, dramatic day. But 2025 brought back Decision Day, and it was great for the fans. The lore of NWSL is mighty, and it was really fun to have that back. So we have from top to bottom, Kansas City, Washington, Portland, Orlando, they had been secured for a little while. Then we had 50 to Seattle, San Diego, Racing, and Gotham. And Racing was really the team that had to do everything they possibly could on Decision Day to get themselves into the playoffs. So there it is. We have the top 8 heading into quarterfinals this coming weekend, which is really exciting. And I don't know that every team on this top 8 would have gotten my vote at the beginning of the season. So it's exciting to see teams that kind of climb their way up to the top.
For sure. And even you saying the seeding, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Gotham's in the 8 spot. This is just, there's a little bit of craziness. And to have a Kansas City Gotham matchup, which we're going to get into, but let's hear your initial impressions first. What are your initial impressions of the teams, the seeding?
I have to say, I do cover the Kansas City Current, but even if I didn't, my first initial thought is this team destroyed the league this year. They really did. They were the fastest team to acquire the Shield and secure that with 5 games remaining. So think about how quickly they got to the top points possible. So that was a shoo-in for me. Also, Washington, very consistent all year. Portland is a team that I wasn't quite sure we were going to see in the top 8. And so to see them land in top 3 is amazing. You know, the historically successful Portland Thorns, they have a handful of championships. And this beginning of the season, they didn't look commanding enough to me that they would be here. But they made it into 3rd, so good for them. Orlando, look at that. Returning Shield winners, returning champions. And 2 weeks ago, I was saying, I don't know if they're going to be in the top 8. They got real lucky on a couple own goals toward the end that picked up some extra points. So to see them in 4, it's surprising for 2 reasons. A, because you'd expect your returning champion to be a little bit higher, right? But B, based off the season they had, I didn't expect them to be in this. Those are my initial thoughts. I think, like you mentioned earlier, Carolyn, Gotham just struggling this season, but they showed enough grit to fight their way into the top 8. Really, really like Racing Louisville and how they're peaking at the right time. And they've just got so much fun meaning behind clinching the playoffs for the first time in club history, which is so cool. And I'm sure we'll get into that further. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts that Kansas City destroyed the league. They deserve to be where they are. Orlando barely got there. Portland barely got there. But then there's some new fresh teams like Racing Louisville and like San Diego. So from this point on, you never know what's going to happen. So it's just exciting to be here.
I just love the playoffs in all sports and just seeing how they shake out, what matchups they're going to be in. So just to give the listeners some background, the matchups are Kansas City versus Gotham. Then we have Spirit versus Racing Louisville, Portland Thorns versus San Diego Wave, and then Orlando versus Seattle Reign. So curious, and I'm sure you have some bias with Kansas City, but what matchups are you most excited for?
You know, I actually would put my first match I'm most excited for is going to be Washington versus Racing Louisville, because it is going to be a team that, if they're healthy, so everything with Washington is who's available, right? Who's going to be available? Is Trinity going to be available to play? Can Croy Bethune put in 90 minutes? It's all about who is going to be healthy for them. But they're also at home, and Rowdy Audi Stadium earned that name for a reason. It's electric, and it is hard to play there. But I'm most excited for this because Racing Louisville is just showing so much grit right now, and they just have this unique motivation, as we chatted about. This is the first time they've ever made the playoffs. You know, they finished 9th for the past 2 years. That's 1 away from the playoff spot. So imagine being so close and not getting it twice, and now they're finally there. And of course, Bev Yanez doing some amazing things, trailblazing through the league, the first player to reach NWSL playoffs as a player and a coach. You gotta love our female coaches. There are not many, but the ones that are there are amazing. So Washington and Louisville, that's my number 1. Number 2 is going to be Kansas City and Gotham, just because 1 versus 8, Gotham is a strong side.
I know. Gotham in an 8, they're just a team that you really can't underestimate. And so it just feels like it's a kind of a tough draw for Kansas City. And they're just having such a prolific season. But I'm like, it kind of stinks to draw Gotham in the 8th spot. And Gotham, when there were playoffs, when there were 6 teams in playoffs, Gotham won as a bottom seed, as a 6th seed. So I'm not going to say anything about Kansas City in front of you, Jillian, but I was like, that's a tough matchup. And then, as you mentioned with Spirit and Racing Louisville, I also wouldn't want to play Racing Louisville right now. They're extremely physical, and they're here because they want to win, and they got here through their grit and determination. So those 2 top seeds are going to be great games.
Yeah, they really are. And I think they're going to be different matches as far as tempo. And you mentioned the aggression, the grit, again, I think it's just like a unique motivation that Racing has, that they finally made it and they want to go all the way. So those are my 2 matches. And you mentioned it as well. Gotham in 2023, when they barely got above the playoff line, they fought their way to win, and they are a strong side. And with Kansas City, it's also about who's healthy. We did see Tim Washawinga pick up an injury against Houston, and then we did see Bia Zanerato pick up a little bit of a knock in this last match. So that's a question mark for Kansas City as well.
Yeah, injuries are always tough. And in that same line, in terms of what teams are doing well, are they going to have their full roster? Do you have 2 to 3 front runners that you're thinking are going to go really far at this point?
Yeah, and I would say let's just play that everyone's healthy, that Washington gets Trinity back, that Kansas City gets Tim Washawinga back. But my eyes are on Kansas City and Washington, and just the way that they played Kansas City, my eyes are going to be on San Diego, because this last weekend they came into Kansas City and they scored early on Kansas City. Kansas City had never given up a goal at home. They had never been trailing a team before at home. And San Diego came in and they had energy. They were firing on all cylinders. Pearl Maroney stood strong against Michelle Cooper, closed her down for the better part of the match, and they're just a strong side for me. So I would say KC, Washington, and San Diego. My dark horse would be Racing, but when I do look at them against Washington, that's my match to watch for sure. It's one of those who's playing for Washington. And if it gets down to specific players are out, I'm going with Racing Louisville. Even on the road at Washington. But yeah, I would also classify San Diego as a dark horse, just because of the way they came in blazing against Kansas City, which that's hard to do at CPKC Stadium.
We love some dark horses with some upsets, as long as it's not the team you're rooting for, right? But I do love a good upset once in a while.
It's fun for the playoffs, right? Anything could happen.
So should we do a little rapid fire for this first round and you just tell us who's winning the game?
Ooh, okay.
Okay, first one, Kansas City, Gotham.
Kansas City.
Spirit, Racing Louisville.
I'm going Racing Louisville.
I love it. I know some of our listeners are not going to love it, but I love it.
And there's so much of it for me to just, the way that Bev Yanez leads that team and the way these players respond to her. Emma Sears is on fire lately. Taylor Flint would throw down anywhere, anytime. So that's what I'm going with.
Portland, San Diego.
This one's tough. I also am going to go with San Diego on this, and some of the listeners might not agree because Portland has such the tradition of success, and they've been there before, and they just have it. And Sam Coffey is a solid leader, and Olivia Moultrie is shining bright right now. So she's going to be tough to beat, and it's going to be at Portland. So I know it's crazy, but I just saw a spark in San Diego this weekend that looked very difficult to dim. So I'm going to go San Diego.
And when teams get hot, it doesn't matter how you do this whole entire season. If you get hot at the right time, NWSL After Dark occurs and crazy things can happen.
I know.
Okay, last one, Orlando versus Seattle.
Okay, this one is honestly the hardest one for me because I feel like, respectfully, both teams are pretty lukewarm at the moment. And, they just played each other. They just came off of a match, and so it was a decision day match. Seattle's traveled down to Orlando. They're actually just staying down there, so they're not going to go back. Because think about it, that travel from Florida to Seattle, so they're going to stay there. So part of me goes to Seattle because they're going to be there all week long. By the time that match comes, I feel like they're going to be so dialed in. I just struggle with Seattle, who their goal scorers are at the moment. And then the other piece for me is I think it would be crazy to doubt Marta in the playoffs.
Yes, for sure.
I am going to go Orlando reluctantly, but I do think it will be an interesting match. There's not a big home field advantage in Orlando, but it's Marta in the playoffs, so can't doubt her. So I'll go Orlando.
Okay, and then who's taking it all home? If you could make a big, bold prediction, who do you see winning the 2025 NWSL championship?
Yeah, and again, I call the current games. I'm at training every week. Take that all away, I'm still going to go Kansas City. What they've done this season has been, yes, historic and monumental, but it has been a statement. It has been all year. It's been consistent. It's not just been one player. Yes, Tim Washawinga, MVP. Yes, she is.
The T-shirt is on.
She is one of one. We just saw her claim the Golden Boot back-to-back years. I get that. She is one of one. I still think, even if Shawinga is injured, this team is so stacked. Dabinia, Bia, Cooper, Ali Setnor, Claire Hutton, the list goes on. I think what Vladko Andonovski did in the offseason by bringing in Lorena in the goalkeeping position really just hammered home. That was the weakness from last year. They fixed it, and look what they did this year. So I am going to go Kansas City.
You pretty much just named a U.S. women's national team with the people you were saying were on the team. It's pretty amazing. We know that you're located in Kansas City. Are you from Kansas City too?
So I'm actually from New York, but I grew up playing soccer in Kansas City. So I moved here. My dad was military, and then when he went corporate, they moved us here. So I've been here since elementary school.
Wow. Okay, so what would it mean for Kansas City to take home the championship?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I get emotional just for a kid growing up in Kansas City, a female soccer player growing up in Kansas City. I never felt like I didn't have the opportunity because it's just, I got to play, and I got to play Division I college. I got to play Olympic development. I got to do the things. But when I graduated from college, I'm going to date myself. There was no NWSL. There was no opportunity for me to play local. I could have gone overseas. Yeah. I didn't want to do that. So the fact now that not only is there NWSL, which we've seen since 2014, the fact that in Kansas City, this team is trailblazing through the league and setting the new standard for what women's sports should look like is just unbelievable. It just evokes so much pride from everyone in Kansas City. You didn't even have to grow up playing, but everybody who's here is so, so proud of CPKC Stadium, of the investment, of the continued growth. Kansas City just added the second tier team, the Casey Current 2, built them a stadium. So it's just the continued growth. It's not just I'm going to smack some money over and build something real fast and call it a day. It's continued investment and growth. So for somebody who's here in Kansas City, bringing that title would mean everything. Last year, opening the stadium, having an amazing season was fantastic, but it almost washed away when we lost in the semifinals to Orlando. So it's like this year, They destroyed the league. They took the shield. You know, they're doing so well. And so it would mean absolutely everything to bring home the championship and really just put that exclamation point on the end of an incredible season.
Definitely. And I think when we see organizations put so much investment into a team and to see it pay off, it almost is like, yes. See what happens when you put money behind it and when you put resources behind it and when you get a good coach who knows which players to bring in. So I'm happy to jump on a bandwagon. You can send that MVP shirt right over here and I'll throw on a KC jersey.
I love it. We might see a repeat. We might, depending on how things go. But I have to piggyback on what you said. We just had the U.S. women's national team in Kansas City, and we got to chat with Emma Hayes, and she mentioned you can't go anywhere in this town without seeing the teal streetcar or fans in the gear. She also pointed out where the hotel that she was staying, I don't know what hotel it is, but there's a clock that's counting down to the next Casey Current match.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And she was
like, awesome.
She's like, you don't see this for women. You see it for a men's game, but you don't see it. And the way that this city has fully embraced and gotten behind this team, this organization, has been incredible. So I know that the team wants to bring home the championship for the community and for the fans, but it would just be that perfect cherry on top. It would just complete an incredible 2025.
How can you argue that? You put a very good argument out there, and we haven't been to Kansas City, but we want to go to a game there because it just seems like an incredible environment and the stadium, and I just love that you have all of that. So that's really cool, and yeah, hoping for good things.
We hope Denver's taking notes.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I'm pretty sure. Congrats also, obviously, on opening day announced.
Yes,
yes.
at
So
Empower
exciting.
Field.
First match, it's exciting. I was like emailing, okay, maybe they're going to start this regional rivalry right off the bat. Maybe it's KC against Denver.
That would be cool.
That would be great. You have to come out
Yes.
so we can finally meet you in person.
I know. That would be very cool. And I would love to go to the 99ers as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and likewise, I hope you guys do get a chance to come see CPKC Stadium. It is hard to explain, but when you get there, you get the feeling like this was actually designed aesthetically for women. This was actually intentional. So you have to come see it.
What about it? Can you talk a little bit more about that? What is it? Because
So
I've heard people say this.
It's the little things. It's the little things like extra restrooms, you know, things like that. We have Title IX plastered on our wall, on the tunnel that the players walk out of so they can see it before they go on the field. It's an experience of Kansas City. So if somebody just brought you here and dropped you in CPKC Stadium, you would get to experience Kansas City food because all the vendors are local. Kansas City art because there's a ton of local art throughout the stadium. The energy because the fans are incredible. The views because we're right on the river looking south to downtown.
Yep.
It's just so much. It's just so intentional. And then the teal seats are beautiful. I know that's like a sidebar, but it just feels this was done for women. This was done intentionally. This is not going to be old and gray, historic, rickety old anything at any point. There's such integrity and there's such intentionality behind everything. So it's really cool. And then there's not a bad seat in the house. You're, I think, 100 feet from the pitch, no matter what seat you're in.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So we hope to expand. Let me say this. I hope that we expand because we've sold out 2 seasons in a row, but I hope that's coming. It is a possibility. I know Denver went to 14,000, I think, right? 14.5 or something. We would love to match that. But no, it's super cool. And even just like walking up the exterior, we've got the CPKC train. We've got the community members greeting you as you come in. We are the first team that have our very own team store as well. So obviously that's probably something Denver will have, which is amazing. Yeah, and I think the coolest part about it is that Angie Long, our co-owner, co-founder, always says, we're the first to do it, but we're not going to be the last.
Yeah, and it's such a good point of like even a team store. I remember we went to a Seattle Reign game and I was looking for a t-shirt. I was like, I want to get a t-shirt. And it was very difficult to find. And I was like, this is crazy. So yeah, Kansas City is the model. And we hope that people just continue to replicate and make it better and better along the way. With that, where can people continue to follow you throughout playoffs? You're covering the KC Current. You know so much about the NWSL. I'm sure our listeners are going to want to continue to follow you. So where can they find you?
That's very kind of you to say that. I appreciate the opportunity to talk NWSL any and every day. But thank you so much. My podcast page it's called Sports and SHEnanigans, and she is highlighted in Shenanigans. But you can find me on Instagram. I do some content there. And then my podcast is on every streaming platform as well, just Sports and SHEnanigans with Jillian. We've got YouTube as well. But yeah, I'd love to interact. I'd love feedback. I know I'm going to take some hits on Louisville beating Washington. But bring it on, because I want to hear your thoughts. I think that's the coolest part, I think, about women's sports fans, is it's like a respectful banter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm from New York, so I'm a Yankees fan. I'm married to an Eagles fan. So it's
Ooh.
like, ugh. But our women's sports fans, they're legit. So yeah, but thanks. I would love for anybody to follow along and chime in where they can.
Well, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate your time. Playoffs begin this Friday, November 7th on Prime Video at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where the reigning NWSL champs, the Orlando Pride, will take on the number 5 Seattle Reign. And then there are games throughout the weekend, so please stay tuned, watch those games. And thank you, Jillian, so much for joining us. We so appreciate your time and your knowledge. That is it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.